Good morning. May I call us to order, please? Welcome to the May the 1st, 2023 Jackson County Board of Supervisors Board Meeting. The motion is District 1 this month.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And I've asked our county administrator, Mr. Brian Fulton, to have prayer for us this morning.
Okay, if you would, just bow your heads with me, please. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you this day for the blessings that you give us, God. Thank you for Jackson County. Thank you for all the opportunities that you give us here in Jackson County. And we just pray that you be with us today as we go through this meeting and let the decisions that are made be pleasing in your sight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brian.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple of proclamations. Let's do them right now. First one is the National Day of Prayer, which is May the 4th, which is this Thursday. Board, if you will please, no, there's no one here to accept it? Okay, well then we will not come down. We'll wait a moment and then we'll come down. The proclamation reads as follows: whereas prayer is a fundamental part of our national heritage, with the first National Day of Prayer proclaimed by the Continental Congress in 1775, an action reaffirmed in 1952 by the United States Congress, and whereas this year marks the 72nd annual observation of the National Day of Prayer, and this year's theme, Pay Fervently in Righteousness and Avail Much, was inspired by and further emphasized in the Bible, James 5:16b. Fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. And whereas every day in Jackson County and across our nation, prayers are made seeking forgiveness and reconciliation or giving thanks for our many blessings. Prayer also continues to offer comfort, direction, and strength to so many as they go through uncertain times. And whereas National Day of Prayer is intended for all those who seek to pray for this nation, its leaders, and its people, this day of prayer has become a unifying force for citizens from diverse religious backgrounds and affirmation of our constitutional rights to gather and worship. And now, therefore, the Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim Thursday, May the 4th, 2023, as National Day of Prayer in Jackson County, Mississippi. This was adopted by a motion of... Motion by Mr. Cumbus, seconded by Mr. Beausarge. By unanimous vote, this first day of May 2023 in Pascagoula, Mississippi. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Jackson County to be affixed. So we encourage everyone to attend the local program or celebration of the National Day of Prayer this Thursday. Thank you.
We didn't vote.
Sir, we did not vote. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. It is now official. Thank you. Okay, we also are going to recognize National Safe Boating Week, and I'll now invite the board to come down. We do have people here to accept this, do we not? would y'all please introduce yourselves, please?
Good morning, I'm Chief Spindell. I'm the Executive Petty Officer of Station Pascagoula.
And, yes, sir.
Dennis Knott with the local flotilla, auxiliary flotilla.
Terry Bowman, I represent the Mississippi Shipbuilding Heritage Center. Good morning.
Very good. Good morning to y'all. Okay, the proclamation for National Safe Voting Week reads as follows. Whereas more than 100 million Americans coast to coast continue to make voting one of the nation's most popular recreational pastimes, and whereas on average 650 people die each year in voting-related incidences in the United States, of which 75% of these are fatalities caused by drowning, and whereas the majority of these incidents are not caused by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors, but they're caused by human error and or poor judgment. And whereas a significant number of recreational boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they taken appropriate safety precautions such as carrying emergency distress equipment, participating in boating safety courses, subscribing to annual boat safety checks, avoiding alcohol while at the helm, and wearing proper life jackets. And whereas we recognize the goals of the National Safe Boating Campaign are proactively supported by United States Coast Guard Station Pascagoula, Flotilla 38 of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, and our Mississippi Shipbuilding and Marine Center in the interest of promoting recreational boating safety. Now therefore, we, the Board of Supervisors, hereby proclaim May the 20th through 26th, 2023 as National Safe Boating Week. And this will be by a motion from a supervisor, Mr. Nomis, and seconded by Mr. Ross. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. So the motion carries unanimously. And I will have signed the proclamation, and here it is. Thank you. Speech.
That's a speech. Speech. Well, it's been a while since I've been in front of an audience body like this or an environment like this, so forgive me if I humble and stumble. You did a great job. One of my jobs was to introduce everyone to here. These are our partners in promoting recreational boating safety. Recreational boating safety is job done by definition of the Commandant of the Coast Guard for the auxiliary, for your auxiliary. The auxiliary are local folks, live here, operate here, and support the recreational boating safety component of the Coast Guard. We do that in a couple of ways. One is mentioned vessel safety checks, whereby we offer free of charge, non-punitively, assistance to recreational boat owners to maintain their vessels in compliance with federal and state boating requirements, and also safe boating courses, which we are holding on the 13th of May at Mississippi Shipbuilding and Maritime Center. So I'm going to skip a couple things. We as partners want to thank the supervisors for supporting recreational boating safety programs and for proclaiming May 20th through May 26th, 2003 as National Safe Boating Week in the county, in Jackson County, and becoming another partner of ours in promoting recreational boating safety. Thank you.
Right. Let me see a show of hands. Who has been to a boat safety course. Hold your hand up. That looks good. Good. Okay, well, good luck with the week and all the best to y'all.
Whoever's gonna hold the proclamation, come up here and point towards the middle. Alright. A couple of them. 1, 2, 3. Alright.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you.
Okay, let's now move to item number 5, amendments to the agenda. Mr. Cumbus,
I don't have any.
Mr. Morris.
I don't have any.
I have none. Mr. Ross.
None.
Mr. Bosard.
None.
Mr. Eldridge is not here this morning. Mr. Fulton.
No.
Mr. O'Neill.
None.
Mr. Calmer.
None.
And by the way, welcome to Mr. Calmer, our newly addressed board attorney in his first day, first meeting as such. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, I'd like to request to amend employee information.
Okay, which has been given to us. Ms. Krebs, thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
I need to request to amend the claims docket.
The claims docket. Do we have a change? Do we have it? Okay. Okay, amendment to the claims docket. Any others? Okay, so we'll need a motion to approve the amendments to the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morris. I will second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to item number 6, general public comments. Yes, ma'am. Come up and identify yourself, please.
Good morning. My name is Christian Bilbo, and I work for South Mississippi Child Advocacy Center. And on May 15th, we are having an open house at our office right here, 706 Watts Avenue. And I just wanted to personally invite the Board of Supervisors to come. We would like to serve you breakfast before that meeting and let you have a tour of our agency. We know your board meeting starts at 9, so we're going to open our doors around 7:30 to make sure you have time to eat and walk through our center. We just want to make you guys aware of what we do there. We do forensic interviews for children who have been physically abused, sexually abused, or witnessed a violent crime, and we just want to give you guys a tour so you'll know what we're all about there.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
will be there for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Are there any other general public comments? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda, item number 7. We need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept it as amended.
Motion by Mr. Cumbus,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ross.
It's actually not amended.
Oh, it wasn't?
The
Okay.
employee, the employee information and the claims docket are outside the consent.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We'll now move to number 8. Item number 8, the consent agenda number 2. Note that Supervisor Ross is excusing himself from the meeting.
Motion approved.
Got a motion from Mr. Morris to approve. I will second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Ross is returning to the meeting. Let's move on to item number 9, our department heads. First of all, Administrator, Mr. Fulton.
The item I have is travel, both required and discretionary.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bossarge,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That was
We approved it.
number 2.
Information and claims docket that were amended.
Was that with the other one? The part about Joe O'Neill?
That was under consent agenda.
Yeah, that was consent number 2.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, Ken, go ahead.
Okay. Did we vote on the travel? We did?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next is finance, Ms. Wells.
One of the item I have is the order approving the claims docket of 2 minutes.
We need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bossarge,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Cumbus. Any discussion on the claims docket as amended? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And next under department heads is human resources, Ms. Cribbs.
Good morning. The item I have before you is employee information as amended.
Motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Cumbus. Seconded by, who was that, Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to mention I passed out a flyer advertising our employee appreciation picnic this Friday. Just want to encourage everyone to attend and hope that the board members can also be there to support our function. It's our first actual employee appreciation picnic that we've ever had, in addition to what we used to do, the employee appreciation ceremony. So I hope that y'all will be able to attend. There'll be live music, a food truck that will provide hamburgers and hot dogs and some other sweet treats. So I hope everyone will attend.
Hamburgers and hot dogs? I'll be there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now move to item number 10, presentations. The first one is Nora Kenner, Coastal Marine Extension Program Assistant from Mississippi State University.
Hi, so my name is Nora Skinner. There is an S at the end of my last name or beginning. But yeah, I work for Mississippi State University up at the Coastal Research and Extension Center in Biloxi, and I run an in-school program called Planet Dunes. So I'm here today to get permission to do a dune restoration planting in Pascagoula, just anywhere along the beach. So be thinking about good spots you might know that need planting. But while I'm here, I thought I'd just do a little bit of background about the program. So Planet Dunes is an EPA-funded grant. We get all our money from the EPA. We're so thankful for that. And we go into local high schools along the coast, and we provide teachers with lesson plans about dune ecology. And we actually buy dune plants and let these high school students get practice growing the plants and tending them throughout the semester. And then at the end of the school year, we go and actually do a big planting. So that's what we're planning to do May 11th here in Pascagoula. I'm sure most of you are familiar, but if you're not, if you're watching online, I thought I'd just touch upon why dunes are so important. So there are natural barriers against storm surges. When we have these big storms, hurricanes, they're really our first line of defense. And the way that they help us is these dune plants have big roots that kind of create a network underground, and they hold sand in place. So they're preventing erosion, and they're kind of stopping that inland flooding. And then I'm sure if you guys have driven down Highway 90 recently, you've seen all the birds on the coast. They're kind of just sitting out flocking, but they use our dunes for nesting grounds. So they come and have their babies here. So they're not only important for us, but they're important for wildlife as well. So board members, you might remember, I think my boss, Dr. Eric Sparks, was here around this same time last year to ask for permission to do the same program. So these are photos from that trip. This was with Pascagoula High School. I wasn't running the program at that time, but if you look in the top right corner, the man in the kind of like reddish sweater, he was the one leading the program. And these students were planting marsh plants. So same idea, a little bit different though. These were closer to the water. So we're gonna be doing dune plants that are further up on the beach. But that trip was super successful. I think all the students loved it, and they had a great time. So this semester, this is Pascagoula High School students. These are the ones that I'm working with now that I wanna go take on this trip on the 11th. This is when I brought plants to their school. So the students got to take a break from their class, come outside, just kind of learn how to divide these plants and grow them, and just kind of get their hands dirty. This is just an example of one of the trips that I took last week. This was with Gulfport High School students. We planted a section of beach kind of near Courthouse Road in Gulfport. But again, you know, I want these students to take away something, learn something, but really I think it's more important for them to just get out in the environment. So many students look at me and tell me, like, I've never even been on the beach, and they live right here, which is crazy. So for me, it's important for them to just have the chance to go be outside and appreciate, you know, these really cool ecosystems that we have in our own backyard. So to kind of wrap it all up, again, just asking for permission to go planting in Pascagoula. My idea was kind of to fill in, if you'll see around the red box, just like fill in a section of a dune that might look empty. There's some kind of bare spots in this one that I circled, but we can go anywhere. I don't really have a preconceived spot in mind. So if you guys have a spot, definitely let me know. And yeah, that's all I have.
I think Joe has.
No, well, I was just gonna mention the county, we are getting ready to do a pretty big, extensive beach and dune restoration project on all three of the beaches, Ocean Springs Front Beach, East Beach, and Pascagoula Front Beach as well. I think it's great though if y'all can focus on the dunes that are already there and do like you're saying, just fill in.
Yeah.
Because the purpose of this bigger project is to create new dunes in areas where we don't already have them yet. And then potentially also widen the beach as well to give more dune area. So that's still a long time coming. We just had a kickoff meeting with the Army Corps last week. So there's lots of modeling and design work still to go, at least a year before we get closer to a construction date on that. So I just wanted to mention that, so there's, you know, coordination and information sharing.
Oh. It's right there? Yeah.
There's not a resolution.
Oh, great. All right. Thank you, guys.
So when I get back to the office, I'll get a resolution to you. I just need
We'll vote on the resolution. Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? I think a nitpick here, you say dune plant in the agenda. I think that needs to be plural. And do we technically need to approve this effort? If so, we'll need a resolution.
I will prepare a resolution. There was not one because I was not exactly sure what you were looking to do. I had a good idea, but I understand you're looking to plant dune plants of different types, and you want permission along the beach boulevard in Pascagoula.
Yes, sir.
Same
Yes.
beach.
Yep.
So we get a
Okay, do we have a motion for a resolution to accomplish that? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Morris will second it. Is there any discussion? If none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Thank you so much,
Thank you. Have a nice day.
and good luck. Okay, our next presentation, Mr. Garth Walker from Hippocratic Growth.
I'm Garth. Good morning. Thank you guys for hearing us. This is Ben Segar, my partner. He's going to put on a presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board. If you all please look at your, right next to your name tag, so you can see where I've given you a card. I've taken the liberty of distributing my cards. That's my day job, so to speak. I went to UVA Law 15 years ago, graduated. Spent about the past 15 years doing maritime law in Mobile and in New Orleans. Recently, I went back to the law school to do fundraising because I found a calling raising money for things I believe in. One of those things is the University of Virginia School of Law, and one of those things is what I'm about to present to you. I also have my team here. I have Garth Walker, who you've already met, my Chief Operating Officer, and I'll go ahead and stand up for us. Thank you, sir. Garth's been a captain for 30 years. He's had a 1,600-ton any ocean license. He's also been a farmer. He's also farmed 700 acres of soybeans and also cattle. Thank you, Garth. We have our Director of Cultivation here, Mr. Duran Jackson. USMC retired. Duran's been in the business we're about to talk about. He's won accolades in the business we're about to talk about, and he is a businessman and my partner. We run a roundtable organization at the Hippocratic Growth. What that means is it's not top down. If Duran has an issue, a safety issue, a logistics issue, we don't do it without full conversations. And that's one of the most exciting things about the industry I'm about to announce to you, is that it's in its nascency. The ideals of business are still being matched with the ideals of the industry. And so it's a very exciting time when we as regulatory peoples, we as businessmen, can meet and say, how do we want this industry to look? Who are the people who we will help? Because the opportunities are immense. So if I can direct your attention to the television screen here, or online at your screen, I have a very short presentation for you. So who we are, who would like to be, is a cultivator of medical cannabis here in Pascagoula on Andrew Avenue, where we have an agreement to purchase a warehouse. And everything is contingent on what we all decide today. We're a boutique level grow operations. The state offers several different tiers for cultivation. We would be tier 1, which gives us up to 5,000 square feet of permitted grow space. Our grow method is completely organic. We don't use chemicals. That helps the environment, it helps runoff, and it certainly helps keep our costs down and keeps the overall medicine to the consumer clean and pure of any impurities, because that's how we're looking at this. It's medicine, people need it, we can help people. And specifically, we have 2 people that we want to help in mind, 2 large population groups. By the way, our creed, our entire motto, the values of our corporation, you can see from our creed. Let us do good while doing well. It's not enough that we have swimming pools. We also want to see the people around us raised up. Our vision statement reflects this as well. We'd like to cultivate pure, organic cannabis in the nicest possible way. And I will tell you that I stole some of that from Ben & Jerry's, who want to make ice cream in the nicest possible way. But we also have a very serious mission statement. In this country, and within my own friend group, definitely with outside my own friend group, there is an epidemic. We have people who have turned to pills and fentanyl and the dangerous black market of drugs to take care of conditions they may have picked up in service of our country, so that we can sit here in order today. At the Hippocratic Growth, we recognize this. We recognize that we have a mission, not just must we adhere to the principles of restorative justice. We can talk about what that means in a second. But we are also starting an initiative called From Pill to Chill. Our return combat troops all too often are prescribed drugs that prevent them from reassimilating into society in meaningful ways, from reassimilating into their family homes in meaningful ways, from reassimilating into their church groups in meaningful ways. To get them off that medical pharmaceutical complex and being able to replace that with something that allows them more control over their own mind, their own body, and their own relationship to society. Our return veterans are facing a crossroads. They can either go through the mill, which is expensive, can lead to illegal activities, and definitely has well-documented examples of dependence, or they can go this new route that's been made legal by the sovereign state of Mississippi, which is not habit forming and which has a controlled expense amount.
Let me ask a question there, please.
Yes, sir.
You said not habit forming.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that, because I at least have the opinion, I may be wrong, that it is habit forming.
So in our own brains right now, all of us, we have what we call the endocannabinoid system. We have so far found about 4 different endocannabinoid receptors within the mind. So what that means is there is a natural receptor in our own brain for a chemical that we can only get from a certain plant, male and female of the plant, either hemp or what we call marijuana. The activation of those centers of the brain through THC or its analogs does not create an uptick in the signal for those receptors, so that chemically there is no dependence being formed. Whereas if we were on opiates or opioids, we would see an actual increase in brain activity right when that dose is administered. You'd see the chemistry of the brain is now depending on that chemical being introduced so that what we call homeostasis can occur. Without that happening, we can say there's no chemical dependency. Now, we all know the tropes of those who abuse anything. We know the tropes of the stoners, of the dope heads and all that. But that is a lifestyle brought to abuse of a medicine. The state of Mississippi has very strict procedures in place on how much medicine someone can what they can get it for. There's about 30 different reasons why you can even get prescribed cannabis, and then how much you can get from the state. Our compliance procedures, which I wrote our compliance plan myself, I can tell you it's the strictest that I've seen on the coast, because we want to make sure we do it right. I have zero tolerance for any of our medicine being used in a way that hurts a community. Because of the principles that I've talked about, that I will talk about, and that we're currently talking about, this is not just a way for me to help myself out or my buddies out. This really is, to me, a community call. This is a culmination of a lifetime of public policy learning, experience, and being able to marry, like I said, that background with something that, in this industry, there are no expectations. There are no investor expectations. I have one of my chief investors here, but when I'm telling him, hey, listen, we have a duty to the community to do X, Y, and Z, our profit margins may be Y minus 10 or 15 because we have an obligation to this community to do well. Just take a 30,000-foot view for a second. Look how far we've come. Look at the optics of the situation. Here we have a group, in Mississippi in general, we have people who are now profiting on a crop that the enforcement against this crop has changed people's lives. We've incarcerated people and we've broken up families. And I think we're lying to ourselves if we don't say that the disparate impact of the war on cannabis in the state of Mississippi is felt across socioeconomic lines differently and felt across color lines differently. So that's where we get into restorative justice. What kind of organizations do we want to have? Do we want to have organizations that are just focused on the bottom line, just focused on making the prettiest pitches to their investors with all the profit numbers right there, the CAP returns right there? Or do we want a business that's able to marry ideas that any business is, the raison d'etre of any business is to make money? But if we marry that principle with an obligation, a corporate obligation to do good while doing well, I think everybody wins. That's what I'm offering. That's what we're offering.
Okay, thank you.
Our core values, like I've said, are found in equality, regardless of creed, race, religion, background, preference, gender, or identity. We believe in restorative justice, and what I think that means here is equality of opportunity in hiring, staffing, and ownership. I've explained our golden rule, but the 3 P's of respect are also something I don't think you'll find in another operation. That's respect for the plant, respect for the patients, and for the process. The market opportunity is large in Mississippi. So far, the Mississippi Department of Revenue has granted about 162 different licenses for dispensaries. Cultivators are about 60 in number, last I checked. Just in Mississippi, the annual sale projections are $800 million, and it's a business that's fairly kind to startups. 55% of startup cultivators break even within the first year of operations. This is despite heavy taxation from the state and local levels and the inability, because of the federal tax code, to claim lots of things for cost of goods sold. Believe me, I've been over hundreds of pages of tax law talking about 280E and what we can apply, and it's not favorable. We're paying a lot of taxes, which is sort of, especially when we're thinking about it from a regulatory standpoint, from a community standpoint, it's a very good thing, because we can look at what we can do with this tax dollar. So look at some financials I put together. Just direct salaries of Jackson County residents. First year, we'll be starting up even more. That's going to be this year, if all goes well. We're paying rent to a Jackson County landowner. We are buying equipment. Everything is sourced locally. Locally, either here in Jackson County or at farthest away, it's in Gulfport. That's where we're getting our equipment from. We're going to be paying local utilities $40,000. We'll be hiring a local security contractor. The permits and compliance, that's going straight to a board. Our taxes, that's going straight to the government. Our trimmers are even more salaried employees that we'll add at the end of our grow cycles. Based on these very modest numbers, the total revenue increase for the Jackson County, both indirect and direct, almost $1 million year 1 and over $1 million years 2 and 3. I haven't done projections out for year 4, but good dog alone and creek dog last, and that'll be even higher.
So of that taxable amount, what portion goes to the state, what portion goes to the local municipality or the county, or how does that split up?
So roughly 30% goes to the state and the rest goes to the county, based on the way that the MMCP has set that up, the Mississippi Medical Cannabis Program. But these numbers are total revenue increases. Those aren't just taxable amounts. That's total numbers that will be going. So roughly 70, anywhere from 50 to 70% of that is staying in the county. The rest is going to Jackson. I've introduced my team. One person that's not here is our VP of Marketing and Design. Garth's niece, my best friend's wife, Courtney Walker, mother of 4, and a graduate of Ocean Springs High School with myself. Talked a little bit about myself already, but I do want you to know that this is not a fly-by-night operation. I'm involved in other businesses. I'm a car guy. Any of y'all want to talk about cars, we can talk about cars until the cows come home. And I'm also, like I said, the Associate Director of Annual Giving at the Virginia Law School. My opinions that I'm talking about here today, my promises that I'm making to you today are not just idle. Again, they're the prospect of a son of the coast going off to the Atlantic coast, learning from as many people as I could learn from, and then deciding to come back and have those principles improve my community. You know, I could be doing this elsewhere, but I want to do it here. I think the opportunity is here, and the people that I know most are here. My friends are the people that I'm talking about that are making those crossroad changes. I've seen people who have walked on both sides of that path. And I'd like to be able to help them. I've introduced you to Duran Jackson, my Director of Cultivation. I've talked about some of his accolades. I've talked about some of his military service. What you should also know about Duran is that he has worked himself from the bottom of this industry to a Director of Cultivation. This is a success story for one of our combat troops who's returned. This is a success story of one of our native sons. He was born here in Mississippi. And this is a success story of someone who would have been excluded from this business not too long in our past. In closing, gentlemen, ma'am, what we have here is an opportunity. We have an opportunity and we have an obligation. Y'all don't owe me or my friends or our group anything, but we both owe something to this community. What I'm asking you to do is help me extend what I can do, what I've learned, my traits, my role, my calling, how I can help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a question before we go anywhere else. Why is this not a zoning issue that would have gone to the planning department for an exception to zoning, as opposed to a presentation at the board level, which would be maybe 2 levels above that beginning point?
This is located in the city of Pascagoula, so it's my understanding they're having to work with the city of Pascagoula to site this facility. And I believe the reason why they are, hang on a second, I believe the reason why they're before us today is to request a waiver because that we have a facility within 1,000 feet of this development that is considered a school. And as part of the law, it's my understanding that there is a requirement or for them to get a waiver if they're within 1,000 feet of that school. And I believe that's in you guys.
That's exactly right.
Yes, sir, thank you.
The county owns the youth court. They own the land the youth court sits on, and the property at 2802 Andrews is 830 feet from it. Now, on the other side of us, 300 feet down, there's an existing grove that the state's already approved. So it's just 300 feet difference, and we're across with that telephone road. So we're on the other side, too, from the youth court. But we need a waiver for that 1,000 feet. And that's, so.
But it's within the city limits of Pascagoula. Why would that waiver not be there as opposed to here?
Because the county owns the land. The county owns the youth court sits on.
Okay.
Yeah, the county owns the youth court, Mr. Bell.
Okay.
So, and that's the 1,000-foot issue.
Yes, sir.
Because we the county own the property.
Okay.
So on a drilled down level way into the actual weeds, our security system, the regulations required by the state are very specific. There will be no storefront. There will be no sales to the public. There will be reinforced steel doors. There is tight inventory control for obvious reasons. And we intend on exceeding all of these requirements. I've already got security contractors crawling over this territory, talking about this location, talking about angles of security cameras and how tall the fence will be and all this business. So it's we feel very confident of how secure our facility will be.
So I thought I remembered there's a limitation on how close facilities can be, or is that just if they're like the actual storefront facility?
That's just dispensaries.
Okay, so if you were a dispensary, you couldn't locate that close to another facility?
I think that's right, although I've...
Dispensaries have a distance.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't understand the difference on those.
I appreciate the distinction there, for sure.
What levels of approval do you have to have before you can open a facility? You've already said the state and the city,
State and city, yes, sir.
and then regulations with ownership distance within school. So,
Yes, sir. And we've been...
My understanding, the city will not give them an approval, or the state, for that matter, without this exception,
Without the waiver.
without the
correct.
waiver.
That's why we're here.
So there's a fantastic portal, actually, on the MMCP website where you apply, and because it takes so long to apply, because there's so many different documents, it will upload system documents automatically in real time. And so there are several different categories that you have to put in these documents, and it's not just a one-page document. It's usually pretty involved. And one of those is evidence of local and zoning approval, and the next one is local government approval.
Yeah.
And the whole process, we were officially organized in 2022, but we've been actually planning this for over 2 years now.
okay. Other questions, comments?
So if this board were to say yes, you're okay, the city's going to say okay, or is the city still going to have an opportunity to say no? Or
According to Josh Church, I thought he was gonna be here today. Josh is with the city. You guys probably know him. Hey, Josh.
I think I'll give a call to Josh, if that's all right.
Good morning.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm just here to represent the city of Pascagoula. Yes, this is going to be up to our board to make this decision through the planning board and through its council. Reason I'm here is I know there's some opposition against this from the youth court. They're not real pleased with it. I'm here to let you know we're going to back whatever decision you decide to make with the youth court. We can't give any permissions or permits for anything unless you do this waiver. So it's going to be up to you. We can't move forward. They can't move forward with the state without us and you. So this is going to be 3 different boards have got to approve this, and then we have other hurdles to jump through. So, we're standing behind whatever the county decides.
Okay.
Why did no one not ask the youth court to be here?
I do not. We did not set this up. I'm just here to represent the city. If there was questions, but I was told, hearsay, I was told the youth court had some issues with it being across the road from them. So I don't know
that a little bit. I did contact Stacy Zorn, the judge over the youth court, and she said that she's not against the industry. She understands it's legal and all those kind of things, but if it had somewhere to locate, within 1,000 feet of her facility would not be the right place for it. She didn't really want to make a big stand over it or anything like that, but I know she has concerns about it being within the 1,000 feet.
And I have some concerns with it. I think these fellows know what they're doing. They sound like they do anyway. But, if you ever let go here, if you let these folks do it, then the next person's going to want to do it too. And I have issues with that. I really do. I don't.
That's my main concern, is that the zoning was set up by the state for a reason. And if we start circumventing that law, then once you do it for one, like I always say to this board every time a zoning issue comes up, you got to do it for everybody else. And this industry is going to grow. There's no doubt. It's going to grow.
Yeah.
So, you know, we just got to maintain what we have and not start letting this thing get out of hand down the road.
Yeah.
So
100% respect that. Let me just get one shot at your mind before you make it up completely, and that's this. The reason why we're here today, we're able to have this conversation, is because we needed to seek the variance, right? If we didn't need to seek the variance, we would still do the right things, we would still have all the things, the state would still be governing us, but we would never have this conversation. You get to really choose when you have these variances, when you have these zoning requirements, and then you have someone come up and say, well, okay, so we're within 200 feet of this thing, so we need to have your approval. You're able to then vet, see who you would be doing business with, who you would be letting into your community. And I would present to you that that's actually a position that's advantageous, because you can say, this is no slippery slope. You people don't have the same principles that these people did. You people don't have the same financials that these people did. Or, I don't like the color of your tie. You're not going to get it. So, I respectfully think that that's where we can end a slippery slope. Because people, how many of these people are really going to come and meet with you, look you in the eye, have a firm handshake, I haven't shaken your hand, I promise you, and basically tell you, listen, I want to do what's right here. We're trying to work with you all. We want to make this great for everyone. And I would be shocked if we had a 6-month review, if anyone, Stacy maybe her name was, but had any problems with what we're doing. In fact, I haven't been able to come down and meet with the youth court yet. That was on my task list. What I wanted to do was have a letter from the youth court in favor of us, but I haven't even talked to them yet, so I can't represent them. But what I would like is the opportunity to show that, hey, this is actually an ideal situation, because we can, like I said about the industry in general, any concessions you can extract from us on the front end. Maybe the youth court needs a new center for something or another. Maybe a new basketball court, whatever it is. There are very obvious ways we can give back to the community, in addition to non-obvious ways. And I would be very happy to sit down with Stacy or whoever it needs to be and explain all that.
the business is going to be great. There's no doubt. I think this is the wrong location for it, and that's just me. Because if it's 200 feet today, next month it'll be 300 feet. And the next month after that, it'll be, well, you let that one go for 300. We're just asking for another 100. And so before long, 1,000 feet becomes 0. You know, so once you start allowing this, it just gets to be a slope that I don't like to be on. So
it snowballs.
Yeah, it just snowballs. And you're a one-time case. We have cases come in here every month. So we have to treat I have to treat everybody the same. So not against your business. Think it's a great business motto. Hey, the city's going to probably want to help you find somewhere if you don't get this approval. They're probably going to want to help you find somewhere in the city that works. You know, and the way the law was written, I've read it, you know, it's made for commercial and light industrial zones, which is the perfect place for it. So there's other industrial and commercial areas in Pascagoula or throughout the county that are available. There's plenty in Moss Point, you know. So like I said, not trying to steer it from Pascagoula, but just saying there's plenty of areas this will work in, and this is just too close for me. So I appreciate you. I appreciate y'all being local. I like local investors. I like the local guy because we can always reach out and talk to you.
That's right.
You know, so I agree with you, and I'd be glad to help you find somewhere else for sure. No problem.
Well, if this doesn't work out, I might take you up on that.
Okay. All right.
But no, I do respect both of you, of course. I'm here to work with you all. We'll have a relationship for years to come. This is not the end of our relationship.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Regardless of how you all vote. I'm not going to take it personally. If there's a challenge, I'll overcome the challenge. That's how much I'm committed to this business. But I will say, as a lawyer, as a policymaker, I do think that there are ways that we can stop a slippery slope, but I, of course, how you all run your lives and conduct your performance as officials. I can't gainsay that in any meaningful way. I appreciate your consideration, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think Randy made some good comments about being a policymaker ourselves. But we can vote now, defer until the meeting is held with the youth court or whatever. Is there any thoughts?
I'm gonna make a motion to deny the request for the waiver for the minimum square foot, or square feet there.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Cumbest. Let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Cumbest, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Vote aye.
I will vote aye. Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Bossard?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
One appeal.
Sure.
With this existing location. If I get a letter from the youth court saying that they have withdrawn their objection, can we revisit this vote?
Jimmy, can we revisit this?
I think it can be revisited, if this board chooses to do so.
Okay. No commitment, but we will reconsider, sure.
Okay.
We can get it on the agenda and then reconsider, yeah. Brian, we don't have a problem with that, right? Okay.
Point blank, sir, would it change your view of the slippery slope argument if we had a letter from the youth court?
Probably not, but you can try.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's more fruitful that you and I talk about different locations.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to you if that's all right, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
You need to come to a meeting when we have a zoning request, and R1 is discussed, and listen to Mr. Bossard defend that zoning. Interesting. Okay, good presentation. Thank y'all.
Thank you, great presentation. Look forward to you finding somebody. for sure.
Likewise. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
Josh is a good guy. He knows where all the empty buildings are in Pascagoula. He can definitely help you for sure.
I'll start with Josh, and then I'll, if you don't mind, I'll bother you about it too.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move to item 11, our action items, state delegation.
Don't have a lot today.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I just will mention that we are trying to schedule a meeting with MDA and the governor's office regarding the GCRF award as it relates to the Van Cleve Medical Center. And hopefully have some information on that once we have that meeting. And on federal delegation, nothing to update the board on.
Okay, anyone else? If not, we'll move to item 12, supervisor items. Mr. Cumbest?
I didn't have any.
Mr. Morris?
Don't have anything.
I have none. Mr. Ross?
I just have a reappointment to the CTA. So I'll make a motion to reappoint Lloyd Hebert to the Coast Transit Authority.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Ross, seconded by Mr. Bossard. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Bossard?
Yeah, I'd like to make one little comment, Mr. President. Batson and Brown, Taryn and Aaron, great presentation here, man. I love it. It's the history of the Parker Lake Bridge, and way back in the early 1800s, I think. So that's a great presentation, guys. I just wanted to thank y'all for sharing it with us, for sure. I'm going to definitely keep it on my desk to read every now and then.
That day was a lot of fun out there.
Yeah.
It was a good day.
I will let anybody know that's in here, if you would like a copy, just, you can either call us or email us, and we can send it to you by mail or email.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we need a motion to go into closed session to determine if we need to have an executive session.
So move.
Second.
The motion by Mr. Cumbest, seconded by Mr. Bossard. No discussion. If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We are in closed session.